Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Source Direct. I'm your host, Vellguap, and today I'm with my special guest, Brandi, author and motivational speaker. She has her two books here, Real Talk and My Way or God's Will. She's going to just give you a little explanation of what that is exactly, and just introduce yourself to the people and tell them where they can find you at.
Okay, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
I am Brandi, also known as a spiritual friendvisor. And that's basically just a friend who gives advice based off of godly wisdom. I'm also certified as a life and spiritual coach, so I also use tools and techniques to help you on your spiritual journey of self-healing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like he mentioned, I am an author. My first book is Real Talk, a 30-day devotional book, and that's basically, just different conversations that I have, and at the end of each chapter I'm asking you questions just so you can start to just think about things so that you can reflect on who you are and who you want to be. Now, the other book, the other book, My Way or God's Will, The Choice is Yours. That's my personal journey of what I had to go through in order to become a spiritual friend advisor, in order to heal in certain areas of my life where I just needed to be healed. And also it's just to help other people know that, the things that sometimes we do in life, it doesn't go according to our plan. And when God has a plan for your life, that's going to prevail over anything you could ever think, dream, or pray about.
So, all right, so we're going to get into our first principle, which is life is 10% what happens to you, 90% of you how you handle it.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that, or what is your experience with that?
Woo! Listen, I done been through some things. So, in regards to that, 10 years ago, I was laid off. And I was 25 at the time, and clearly, I fresh out of college, a couple of years, have a college degree, got laid off. That's when the recession just hit. And so I'm like, God, what is my purpose? Like, I have a degree, but I can't even get a job. Like, I just got laid off. And I remember a period in my life where, I went through moments of being depressed, being sad, being like, God, why me? How come, I can pray for other people to get a job and they get one, but when it comes to me, I can never, get a job. And so I know that was just a part of my experience now, to help people. And so that's how I reacted back then. So now fast forward 10 years later, I was laid off. And so now I'm in a place where I know my purpose. I knew the minute where I was furloughed back in April, and the first thing that came to my mind, instead of being the Brandi 10 years ago, like, God, what am I supposed to do? I'm now living in my purpose. I'm operating in my purpose. So the first thing that came to mind was, I have so much to do for Pray the Impossible.
Right.
So that's how I'm reacting now. So now I'm looking at that as a positive instead of a negative. So yes, life happens to all of us. Life gets the best of us. But how are you going to react? Are you going to be depressed? Are you going to be sad? Or are you going to turn that into something positive and just shift your focus?
Yeah. The second principle was seeking therapy to heal past trauma is one of the strongest and bravest things you can do. Now, within the Black community specifically, we told going to therapy, you crazy, something
wrong with you. So you need help, what's wrong?
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where I've personally been in therapy. Shout out to Dr. Jeff, man, hold it down. Super cool dude, and easy to talk to and get through some of the things that we're going through that were roadblocks in my life. Have you ever been to therapy?
So I've never been to therapy, but I'm not opposed to it. So what I actually had to go through was, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a certified life coach and spiritual coach. So as I was going through the process to get my certification, I had to be coached. And there were blocks and fears that I didn't know that was stopping me, or that was still within me, that I didn't even know was blocking me from moving on past certain things. For instance, with my finances, I've always struggled financially. That's always been something
that's Libra. That's Libra.
Come, you already know. Listen,
I'll be spinning
and be stressed, and I'm I can go on, but just having student loans and just always having all of these expenses and never having enough money. So that was always something that I struggled with.
Absolutely. And the third principle is definitely a matter of forgiveness. You have to forgive and you have to let go in order to move on. People throughout our lives are going to hurt us. They're going to abandon us. They're going to hinder us. They're going to try to hold us back. They're going to say some negative stuff, give you some negative feedback. But you have to forgive them and let go and move on with your life in order to like get to the next place that you're supposed to be. So here's your take on that. I know I probably spoke up.
Right, no, it's fine. So I actually wrote about forgiveness in Real Talk. So make sure y'all get that. As a matter of fact, you can go to praytheimpossible.com. You can get both of my books. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook. But anyway, so I learned through my spiritual journey a few years ago when I was transitioning into becoming the woman who I am now. And forgiveness is real. Like, you literally, and even in the Bible, it tells you have to keep forgiving. So you may say I did something to you, and you forgave me on Monday, but then on Tuesday you're thinking those same thoughts again. You're gonna have to forgive me each and every single time that thought or that pain comes back.
It's gonna hold you
and
back.
It's gonna hold you back. So I learned that I had to forgive people who didn't even know they said something to me that bothered me. I learned, like you mentioned earlier, like when you don't forgive, you block your own blessings, and you're wondering why you're not getting ahead in life because you holding on to something you was never meant to carry. So you gotta let that go, and it's not even about them, it's for you.
Yes.
Because you're holding on to this grudge and they're living their best life, not even thinking about you, but when they walk in the room, you getting all tight and you mad,
like,
and they like, what's up, and you remembering what they did. And
it's like you got the resentment.
It's like, I don't have time. Like, I'm at a place in my life, I don't have time to resent nobody. I don't have time to hold no grudges, because that's taking that energy that I'm putting into not forgiving you. I could be doing something else. I could be thinking about something else.
That kind of goes into like the fourth principle that I created, which was take back your power by any means necessary. Now, I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean that I don't have to let you know that you hurt me. I could forgive you and I could like move on with my life, but I could want to let you know that this is how I feel about this based off of what you did. I sat down with my mom and had like a real 3-hour long convo, and I felt so much better afterwards, because it's like there was so much stuff that was going on. I spoke to her, you know, and I forgave her in my head, but it wasn't until I approached her and actually got back what she had, her take on it, and her apology, essentially, that made me be like, I really do forgive you.
You forgave her in your head, but you didn't forgive her in your heart.
Oh, yeah. Yup.
I said that. Y'all better hashtag that. You forgave in your head, so it wasn't until you actually had that open conversation with her and she gave you that apology and whatever, you know, she said to you. So now your heart is healed from it. Your heart still was, that's what you said, you was coasting. So your heart didn't really like grasp it. Like in your head, you telling yourself, I forgive you. But deep down inside, the healing and stuff starts in your heart. The forgiveness starts in your heart. So to your point with the principle, like taking back your power, like you got to take that power back. And sometimes what I've learned in my life is sometimes we wait for an apology that we're never going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how do you handle that? Like, am I still going to be broken? Am I still going to be sad? Am I still going to be depressed because this person didn't apologize to me in the way, in the way I wanted them to, or two, in the time frame that I feel like they should have apologized? You know what I mean? So it's like, once you can muster up that power and you muster up, like, you know what, I'm not going to let this situation control me. I'm not going to let this situation hinder me. That's you taking back your power.
Oh, okay, so we're going to get into the final principle, which is make sure that you are completely healed before going into your next ship, which is relationship, friendship, or anything like that. Like, what's your take on that?
So I think that a lot of us have been broken. A lot of us are still broken. A lot of us are looking for healing spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so we're not operating from a place of wholeness. So if you're not operating from a place of wholeness, you can never really love somebody, because you're only loving them from a small capacity. Like your capacity hasn't even been stretched or grown. And I feel like I mentioned earlier with your inner child, you're still broken from your inner childhood. Something happened to you. We've all experienced some type of form of trauma, right? And so you have to dig deep tap into that person who you were when you were 5, when you were 10, 15, or whatever. And so remember the things that hurt you, and you have to heal from that. So whether it's your parent, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a grandparent, a best friend, a spouse, whoever, you have to heal from that, because you can't love me the way I need to be loved, because you're still broken.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't take the time to do self-healing so that you can love from a place that's authentic, that's genuine, that's pure, that's not vindictive, that's not jealous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're loving from a broken place.
Right.
And then when you're loving from a broken place, it's like you can't go nowhere. Like love
Right.
me from relax. Like what's
That's
going on? And so even as from with the friendship point example, do you know how to be a friend? You could call me and be like, yo, B, let me tell you this. Then I'm going to come to you, but let me tell you what happened to me. But you just called me as a friend because you needed to get that out. But I'm so self-absorbed with what I got going on. I'm trying to be like, nah, Vel, let me tell you what happened.
Or you disregard what I say.
Exactly.
Like, if I come to you and I ask you to tell you, like, this is something that's on my mind.
And that might be from a place where that person never had an opportunity to voice their opinion. That person may be operating from a place where their voice is never heard. So the minute you say something, it triggered them to be like, oh, this is my opportunity to say something.
And it's not.
And it's not.
Don't do
not.
that.
Right.
And don't flip it back on the other person.
Right.
Either. Like if the person comes to you and they're really talking to you from their heart, because a lot of us don't even really know or understand how to do that. That's a step in strength.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And don't shut that down. You should actually embrace something like that and say, damn, at least you coming to me and actually expressing how you feel so that we could deal with this, as opposed to just because we live in an age now where everybody's just ghost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as somebody gets a little hurt, the smallest thing, it's like, no matter how cool the friendship is, it's like, oh, nah, chill. Like, I'm good. Like, we live in a ghost society.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like, it's got to stop. At some point, we have to face that, to just kind of like get through.
Yeah.
And then also another thing is that people tend to be hurt, but they're looking for somebody else to heal them. So they get in these relationships with people just thinking and with the high expectations that it's their responsibility to heal them, and it's not.
And
it's not fair either.
And it's not fair. And two, we're putting like you just mentioned, we're putting expectations on people that they were never meant to fill. So I'm broken, but because we're good friends, I'm expecting you to make me happy. That's not your responsibility as my friend to make me happy.
Friend or relationship,
right? So I have to figure out what makes Brandi happy. Like, so I have to tap into that healing of if I need peace, if I need joy, that friendship, that relationship, that mother, that father, they're not supposed to give that to you. So you have to do self-healing. You have to do a self-reflection, like, why am I feeling this way? Why does that still trigger me? Why does that still bother me? Why does that still scare me? And you have to heal from that place. And I think once we are healed, whole, and complete, lacking nothing, then I think we are actually ready to be the people who's ready for that relationship, who's ready for that friendship, who's ready for that business relationship. We don't want to be healed. We don't want to be whole. We're so used to saying, I've been like this. Yeah, but that's not who you really are, because you've never operated in a place from being whole.
Right.
You've only operated on a place of broken pieces that you're trying to piece together. That's like breaking a vase. You can't glue that vase back together and it's gonna be the same.
Never.
There's gonna be cracks. You're gonna cut yourself trying to glue everything back together. And I think that's how we are as people. You just need to be renewed. You need to be restored. You need to be refreshed. You just need a whole.
All them R's.
So all the R's.
All the R's.
Rejuvenated. All of that.
Make it happen.
Right, okay? You just need a place of just healing. And I think that, and I could say that because I had my own transformation, and I'm still on a transformation, but I see the growth that I had since 2017 up until now.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's like, and one of my good friends, she always be like, but who are you? I'm like, sis, I don't even know.
I'm not one-dimensional, that's all I know. So
come on,
yeah, I'm not one-dimensional.
I'm not one-dimensional.
Yo,
okay,
so,
because you got Big Diva, you got Brandi, you got BJEM, you got Pray the Impossible. It's different sides to me.
Facts.
You know who you gonna get to.
Yeah, so but I just wanna I wanna let you know that as your friend and everything, it's like you got the sauce. You know what I'm saying? You got sauce. So I want for all of you out there to make sure that you don't get lost in it. I'm gonna wrap this up and see you next time for episode 3. Thank you.
Hit her with my glizzy boy, I keep that.